The Honeydew with y'all. Thank you for your support. Here's Ryan Sickler.
Welcome back to the Honeydew with y'all. Y'all, we're over here doing it in the Night Pants Studios. I'm Ryan Sickler. Thank you so much for your support. This community continues to grow and grow. And I can't thank you enough for those of you who've reached out with your stories. If you or someone you know has that story that has to be heard, please submit it to honeydewpodcast@gmail.com. A lot of you are new here. It's $5 a month. If you sign up for the year, you get over a month free. You get the Honeydew a day early, ad-free as well. All right? Make sure you come see me on tour. Night Pants Nation tour is underway. Tickets at ryansickler.com. Check out the Learner's Permit series on my YouTube as well. And, you know, this show, I really do fucking love my job, man. I can't believe I get to sit here and talk to you guys, and you make me laugh about the worst shit that happens in your life. So thank you for letting me laugh right in your face, along with you laughing in mine about my shit. It fucking feels great. So today's guest, I'm going to highlight the lowlights with y'all. Very excited to have this guest on here. Please welcome Ben. We're going one name on him, y'all. Ben, welcome to the Honeydew with y'all, Ben.
Thanks.
Glad
to be here.
Thank you for being here. I know and I want to thank your friend Mike who connected us, because he was like, you got to talk to my friend. You got to talk to my friend. And I always have a special love for Maryland dudes. So before we get into your lowlights, Ben, where are you right now?
I'm currently in Towson, Maryland.
All right.
Working as a climbing coach at a local climbing gym.
Okay. And how old are you?
I'm 27 years old.
All right. Another young man. All right, Ben, tell us your story, please, because you have quite an interesting story.
Okay. Well, start off with, I was born with spina bifida. So
now, can we say real quick, because I'm ignorant too. We hear people say Valentine's Day and all. Is it spina or is it spinal?
Spina.
Spina bifida. Not
bifida,
spinal bifida.
Not spinal bifida. A lot of people say spinal bifida,
okay,
but it's spina bifida.
Okay, because I have heard that.
All right. So what that entails is there's some nerve damage in my spine. My spinal cord didn't exactly align right with my spine. So there's a disconnect with some of the nerves. So I'm partially paralyzed from my knees down. I have a little bit of movement in my left leg, and then there's very little movement in my right leg. I was also born with a few other birth defects. I'm missing 4 ribs on my right side.
What do you mean? Just missing? There's a gap? Or are they the 4 consecutive or random? How does that work out?
It's the 4 middle ones that are missing. So
can you put your hand up in that Can I carry you like a fucking 12-pack, bro?
I mean, basically, yeah.
No!
That's just my liver.
Wow. Okay,
yeah.
Now I got to ask you this, because anytime you have an injury, it's always the fucking spot on your body somebody fucking touches. How many times do people play, whatever, anything, or how many times do you just fucking hit it yourself?
It's quite a bit. Like when I was younger, I was definitely a little more cautious about it,
but you're a climbing coach. You've never had to worry about a fall on that or hit that or bang that when you're climbing? Nothing? I'd be wearing that old school Steve McNair fucking, that vest he wear when his ribs were broken out there in the NFL. I'd wear that just day to day.
Yeah. Like I used to worry about it. If it's something that comes up, it's something I let people know about. When I go climbing outside with newer people, I always make sure I inform them about it. So if there's some bruising on my right side, I'm like, hey, we got to go. We got to go to the hospital because I screwed up.
Okay. So you do give people a heads up just in case.
Yeah. If they're newer around me, I give them a heads up, but most of my friends that I go outside climbing with or climb with in general, they already know. So they know what to look for if I end up unconscious. It's check to see if I'm breathing, check the right side.
The right side, okay.
And I pretty much stick with the same group because at least one person in that group will check.
Okay.
So I always keep that in mind. When it's a new group, I'm just kind of like, hey guys, if this happens, we gotta go. And then I just leave it at that, and then I go do something dumb, and they're like, that's a little much, but that's just how I've been. I haven't really let anything stop me from doing what I wanted to do.
Okay, so obviously that's an aggressive sport, climbing. It's very physical, demanding. Can we go back? Did you play any childhood sports? Anything at all that you liked, were good at?
Yeah, well, I ended up, as I went through elementary school, I played like Little League Baseball. I was a big Orioles fan, so
Sorry,
we would go to the games.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
It's been a rough childhood.
Yeah, sure has, bro. Sure has. Listen, it's been a rough adulthood too, dude. Last time they won, I was 10. They haven't been shit in 38 years. Oh, fuck, man.
Yeah. But at least the Ravens did well during my childhood a couple of times.
God. That motherfucking game yesterday, it gave me a heart attack.
Oh man, I was out in the living room and I heard my mom just go, "Yes!"
I mean,
I was like,
for a second it's over, then it's like, not only is it not over, it's a W.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. All right, so you played Little League Baseball, and did you play basketball?
Yeah, in middle school, I got into wheelchair basketball. My sister played basketball, and one of her coaches was the founder of this wheelchair sports program down at Kennedy Krieger.
Good institute.
So I started going. It's a great institute. I started going there when I was in 6th or 7th grade, and I started playing wheelchair basketball. Ended up playing sled hockey.
Wait, what?
Sled hockey.
What's sled hockey?
It's hockey for the physically disabled. You're like in this little sled that's got 2 skates and 2 hockey sticks with ice picks on the end of them. And you use the ice picks to propel the sled. It's kind of wild.
That sounds fucking wild. I mean, are you bagging the shit? Are you allowed to check people and stuff? Like hockey rules still apply?
Yeah.
Holy shit. What's the hardest you've ever hit somebody in that? What's the hardest you've ever hit? You flip the chair and shit? Can you flip them? I mean, tip them. Not flip, but tip them. Like,
tip. Yeah, you can tip them. I played, unfortunately, a charity game when I was in college, and
you just said a charity game when you're not supposed to hit people hard.
Yeah, when you're not, and I picked a fight with
he's fighting in the charity game.
I picked a fight with a vet, and it didn't end well for me.
What happened, dude?
I kind of cheap-shotted this double amputee veteran who I did not know was like an ex-Army Ranger.
He's Rambo in a chair, bro. You picked the fight with the wrong dude, huh?
I did, and like I threw one punch and he literally blocked it and then just wailed on me for like 10 seconds. I was like, oh my gosh. I did not realize what I just did.
Oh, man. I'm sorry to hear that.
I got to the bench and the coach was like, you realize he's like ex-military, right? I'm like, I realize that now.
I do now. Yeah, I do now. Yeah. Oh, shit, man.
Yeah. That was in college. I had a temper back in college, but
Let me ask you, how fast can you get going? I bet you can get some speed going. You could probably really fuck somebody up checking them like that.
Yeah, depending on the person, you can really get hurt. My dad described it as cripples beating up cripples. To make each other more crippled. I didn't exactly come from. My dad's not the most PC person in the world.
Sounds like
he's not worrying about what he saw.
Oh shit! That's too good. But god damn,
I did that throughout high school: sled hockey, wheelchair basketball, and track. And then I went to the University of Missouri for wheelchair basketball, and
you got a scholarship?
I didn't get a scholarship, but I did get recruited. We didn't have enough scholarship money at the time.
So you got recruited. So
I got recruited.
All right, so there's a program for in like NCAA for this?
Yeah, it's the intercollegiate division in the NWBA, which is the National Wheelchair Basketball Association. And you follow all the D1 NCAA.
Okay.
rules. Yeah,
and
there's
do you
about
play
10
on the
teams.
Do you play on the same courts?
Same court, same
Fuck
hoop,
yeah.
10-foot hoop.
Damn, it is a 10-foot
Same width
hoop?
of court. Yep, 10-foot hoop.
All right, let me ask you this question. So, what is obviously if you're a 6-footer, 7-footer, your distance to the basket is different, and closer.
Yeah.
But what's the average height from a wheelchair, your lap to? Because that's a lot farther than taking two hands and jumping and shit. I feel like you got to be a more skilled shooter. I feel like
you do. You got to have a much higher arc.
I wonder if you could outshoot Steph Curry from your chair. If you both were in chairs, do you think you could do it?
Yeah, maybe in college, but not anymore. I haven't shot a ball in probably a year.
I want to see if somebody out there. Let's set it up. Steph Curry, where are you at, bro? Steph Curry, let's get a 3-point shot against a guy who's in a chair like that and you in a chair and see who does better. I think that'd be fantastic. For charity. We'll do it for charity. For spinal
I'll give you the
bifida.
name of the guy. I give you the name of the guy he should go against. Steph Curry should do a shooting contest with a guy named Steve Serio.
How do you spell
And
Steve?
Steve just won.
S-I or C-I? Do you know? Or S-I?
S-I.
S-I, all right. Okay. He just won what?
He was on the U.S. Paralympic wheelchair basketball team, and they just took gold in Japan.
Wow, all right. Congrats to the U.S. men's Paralympic basketball team. Like, not to sound like a dick. I know this is going to sound like a dick and low-hanging fruit and everything, but for real, if you're a college athlete, because you brought up your dad being PC, they call it a walk-on, but if you're not a walk-on, do they call you, do you have a roll-on? Do you have a scholarship for somebody who rolled on off the street?
I mean, we've definitely made that joke, but
okay, good.
We've made that joke. It's not a walk-on, it's a roll-on. We didn't have the most PC coach either.
Was your coach in a chair?
No, he was not in a chair. None of my wheelchair basketball coaches have ever been in chairs.
Well, wait a minute. Did you ever have a problem taking fucking advice from a guy that doesn't do what you do?
Well, let me explain a little bit more about our coach. Our coach was he is the United States coach. So when I went out to the University of Missouri,
he wasn't just some dude over there smoking and shit. Quit being a pussy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he did say that, but
I love it.
He wasn't smoking a cigarette while he was doing it. He's been the U.S. coach since I was a freshman at Mizzou, and that was in 2012.
That's where you went to Missouri?
I went to Mizzou, University of Missouri. I played wheelchair basketball there for 4 years, and it was just kind of a different experience. The team was definitely a weird bunch. We were a bunch of misfits.
Okay.
Like all the other programs in the nation kind of have their stereotypes. Mizzou never really had a stereotype. We were a bunch of misfits. We had some people that were really into arts. We had some people really into politics, religion. Like we had a few engineers. Like everybody was just a bunch of misfits. None of us really fit in at any of the other schools.
What were you into?
I was into metal.
Okay.
I was a big metalhead.
So you're the metalhead on the team, and
I was the metalhead on the team. My best friend was one of the engineers. He had CP, so he had some pretty severe cerebral palsy. But was my best friend and still talk to him to this day. Our team captains, one was very active in politics and business. Our other team captain was like a Bible study leader. And
you guys are all over the fucking place.
We were all over the place. And like I was raised Southern Baptist, so I was going to church with him for a good amount of time, and went to that church till about my junior year in college. But yeah, no, we were a bunch of misfits. We had a guy from Boston that had a very thick Boston accent, and when he get excited, it'd go like 3 octaves up. We had a Kansas country boy who was just what you would think a person would sound like out of Kansas.
Yeah.
Just as hick as possible. And we just had a great group.
Were you good? Were you guys pretty decent as a team, or what?
Towards the end of my career, we were pretty good.
They do
my junior year,
Sweet 16. They do the tournament as well, March Madness.
We do. Well, we had a tournament, but because there was like only 8 teams at the time, it was a small tournament.
You already you start with the Elite 8.
You start with the Elite 8. But we usually made top 5. Typically we made top 4. There were a couple of years we made top 4. One to a forfeit, actually. We found out later that one of the players on one of the teams wasn't eligible, so everybody moved down.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it was a ringer, like wasn't really you ever get that? You ever get people who fucking go as far as to get somebody that really shouldn't be playing and they're playing?
The lines get blurry.
Yeah.
I mean, we were all
Everybody.
There's a classification system. That way you don't get like 4 guys who have leg amputations versus 5 guys who have spinal cord injuries. So everybody's given a point value between 1 and 4.5. And you have to, all 5 guys on the court have to equal under 14 points.
I see.
So that's their way of like evening out the field for like everybody's different disabilities. I was a 2.5, so I was a mid-pointer. I was kind of disabled, a little floppy, but still had some core and hip control. Because if you have hip control in your chair, you can control your chair by just like twisting your hip just a little bit, and it would turn it, and you have better ability.
So let me ask you about these murder ball guys then. Would you say those guys, was that more the Army Ranger, that fucking dude that beat you up in the hockey game? I mean, they seem to be clearly another level of aggression with those guys.
Yeah, that the murder ball guys and the quad rugby guys, they're all quads. So they all have some sort of paralysis on their arms
Oh, I didn't know
somewhere.
that. Okay, I see. That's you have to be that quad. You said.
Yeah, because if you let a bunch of amputees play that game, someone's gonna die.
Yeah, that Army Ranger gets in there. He's gonna kill somebody.
Yeah, that is someone's gonna die because it's metal on metal. It's like
Yeah.
it's a rough game, and it's a rough game even with quads because that was the thing. They tried it with pairs, I think, and they had to slow down the game just because it was so aggressive and so rough. And now they have wheelchair football, and
No, for real?
yeah. Two of my friends actually started it. Two of my old teammates helped start this new wheelchair football league.
Are they wearing helmets? Are they banging around like that? Holy shit, for real?
Yeah.
How many on a side? How many on each team?
Oh God, I don't even know. I didn't watch it. I think it's the standard. I think they got 4 or 5 blockers.
Holy shit, it's 11 on 11. You got a line of guys banging into each other and wheeling through. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I haven't watched any games, but I know one of my old teammates, he was one of our captains. He helped start the league, and my old college roommate helped start the Arizona team.
Why don't you guys have, and I'm not even joking, someone's going to take this idea when I say it, but you guys need your own network. You need your own, no, I'm not even bullshitting. You need your own sports network. I didn't even know all these, I knew some sports existed for people in chairs, but I didn't know all these did, and now you've got football. I really feel like there will be people that will watch that.
There are. That was one of the things that, like when I was playing wheelchair ball in college, like some of the people that weren't really into sports in general would come to the wheelchair basketball games because there's just so much going on.
Yeah.
Like you got 5 guys trying to backpick each other and trying to move around with their chairs. Cause like in wheelchair ball, you can stop your chair and hold someone there. As long as you don't run into them, it's not a foul.
Oh, but you can hold them there and keep them out of the way. That's your pick. You can pick them like that, and somebody can go right past. I didn't know that's not a holding call or violation there.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, right. There are holding calls if you grab them by the shirt. That's a technical.
Oh, I see. Like if you're pulling them like this.
Yeah. Like you got to keep your hands on your chair. You can't touch anyone else's.
But if they're next to you, you can grab that chair and pull it right here and hold it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't pull their chair, but you can use your chair
to hold
and stop them.
Got it.
Yeah. So like you got to get in front of them so they run into the back of you. And you can hold them there. And just, basically,
right.
Yeah, you're just checking your shoulders the whole time. And like my poor neck in college, it was like I had a heating pad on my neck every night because I was just like checking my shoulders. And then I had a couple of girlfriends in college, and I'd be pushing. And I'm like checking my shoulders, and they're like, "What is going on?" I'm like, "Sorry, it's just."
All right, I have a million questions to ask you. You just brought up girlfriends. You can tell me to fuck off. I do want to know personal questions, though. How old were you when you lost your virginity?
3 days before my 21st.
Okay. Have you had sex with someone both in a chair and not in a chair?
Yes to both.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's better?
What's better? I still talk to that one person. So,
what was more fun?
I've only been with one person in a chair. So there's that. So I don't really have much to compare off of. Her and I weren't really good together, just emotionally. So I got bad ties to that.
Copy that. All right, I have to ask you because I had a friend in a chair too, and this dude would get just women would come over nonstop. Do you get that a lot?
Depends how well my charm's working. Depends how.
Do you ever worry you're a bucket list for someone, and it's not really authentic, or do you even give a shit? You're 28-year-old dude? Probably don't give a shit.
I've calmed down quite a bit since college. So,
were you raising hell in college?
There were a couple years where my mother would not be too proud of me.
But your dad would.
I don't know about that either. Like, again, we're Southern Baptists. So we were raised Southern Baptist.
Southern Baptist, but not PC, obviously, or at least very little filter for being Southern Baptist. What were your parents like with you regarding this? Were they not feel sorry for yourself sort of thing, tough love, a little bit of everything? Like, what was that like, their parenting style?
It was a little bit of everything. They definitely knew I was going to have a hard life. I was going to have to face a lot of other things that people don't typically face, like social norms and societal stuff. They knew it was going to be hard physically. And they kind of pushed me to do whatever I wanted to do. Like, they really wanted me to experience everything. Like, I worked in the lawn with everybody else. I helped make my own parking spot when I became 16 for my car.
What do you mean? You helped make your own? What do you mean?
So, like, we had a short driveway, and when we got another car, we had to extend our driveway.
Got it. Okay. And you had to do that?
Yeah, my dad's a handyman. That man can fix anything. And he was like, "You're going to help out because it's your spot." And I was like, okay. And he had me out there with the hand tamper, and I was just tamping away for like hours at a time.
What was your first car?
I had a Ford Transit Connect 2010. It was 2011, and it was the last year with the tall top of those little vans. And
yeah, I remember
it
that.
It was a four banger, and I actually just recently got rid of it in May.
Okay.
It was when I started climbing and started traveling more. I put over 160,000 miles on it.
Damn.
It was dying. The transmission was going to hell. It couldn't pull hills. Like, it was to a point where my friends didn't want to go on climbing trips with me because my car would just scream.
The car wouldn't climb the fucking hill.
It was slipping gears.
You guys are in chairs climbing hills. This car can't make it.
And it was bad. Like, do you know Sidling Hill off of 64 going out west to Cumberland?
No, I know Cumberland, but I don't know it like that. No.
There's this big hill. You just gotta. It's so long, and you're so high in the rev range. And there was one time where the van almost didn't make it.
All right, I have so many questions. Let me ask you this: for someone like me, I have a blood disease called factor V Leiden, where I'm prone to clotting. Anything like that, where since you're sitting, what do you do for blood flow? Like, do they make you get up and do anything, or massages, or what do you do to help blood flow?
Well, I walk for the most part nowadays.
Okay.
I've been very fortunate with taking care of my legs and being able to walk. So, and I walk around at work. I don't use a chair at work.
Okay.
I try and stand up as much as possible. In a climbing gym, you kind of sometimes have to do that. And especially for like some of my line of work, I'm definitely on the wall teaching the kids as well as moving stuff around and making sure I'm walking around the gym every night. So I make sure I walk around.
So what percentage of your day are you walking, standing versus being in your chair?
90%.
90%, okay.
Yeah.
When do you need your chair? When you get tired, or is there a certain...
When I'm doing long distances, so like when I'm in the airport and stuff like that, I use my chair because it's just quicker and easier. But for the most part, I'm not in the chair otherwise, unless it's like going around a hospital, an airport, or walking around a city.
Or playing a sport that you have to.
Yeah, I'm playing if I'm playing wheelchair basketball or when I was playing wheelchair lacrosse.
There's wheelchair lacrosse too, of course.
Yeah.
In Maryland, of course, right?
Yeah, well, of course in Maryland there's wheelchair lacrosse. And I have the hair for it. I definitely have the hair for it. So, yeah, pretty much I'm walking around. I've actually gotten some feeling back in parts of my leg because I've been climbing and walking around so much.
Is that right?
Yeah, which is shocking.
So, tell me about why you started climbing. What got you into climbing?
So, my fourth year of wheelchair basketball at Mizzou, there was a lot going on. I wasn't getting along with the coaches anymore. I definitely had some pushback with our coach and our assistant coach because, like, there'd be days where they'd say one thing and the next day I would do what they asked me to do and they would yell at me for that. There was a lot of pushback with the team captain at the time. I didn't agree with his leadership style. He was a younger guy too. He was like a sophomore and I was a senior, and he was leading the team.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of had enough. I had one practice that stood out very deep in my mind. And that was kind of the breaking point. Like, I mentally wasn't healthy playing. I was doing horrible in school.
Were you?
And I was just kind of done. So I left the program, came back the following year to finish up my degrees. And a buddy of mine got me into climbing. We went to a tiny bouldering gym in mid-Missouri called the Bouldering Garden. I don't know if it's even still there, but tiny hole in the wall. On the left side, there was a liquor store. On the right side, it was a contracting business. And the guy that owned the contracting business and the climbing gym owned the whole building and just rented the other part out to the liquor store. So we hit our local homeless people walking in on occasions with a brown bag. But I started climbing there. From the first time, it felt like it was something I was meant to do.
Why? Tell me about it. Did you feel
it was
the strongest you've ever felt?
I felt strong. I was already strong from wheelchair ball, but like due to how
could you rock pull-ups?
Yeah,
you could.
I was right off the bat. I was rocking out pull-ups. I was just climbing hard, only using my arms, and it was just a different freedom of expression too. That was the other thing. Like wheelchair ball, like some of the movement in wheelchair ball, when I had a good flow going, it was like some of the freest moments I've been in my life. And it's like, I've definitely taken kind of like a flow state from like watching surfers and snowboarders, how they just get in that zone. And I applied that to wheelchair basketball. And then when I got to climbing, it just kind of carried on. I was very disciplined in the first place because of wheelchair basketball. So I was in the climbing gym a couple times a week, just cranking stuff out. And I was like, this is what I'm going to do. This is going to be the next step.
I was going to say, you must love it because now you're teaching, right? Or coaching, excuse me, coaching.
Coaching. I'm coaching, competing.
So tell me about the competitions. What when you say competing, what actually is going on? Tournaments? What are you doing?
Depends on the competition. Since I'm in the paraclimbing community, we have a couple rope competitions a year. This year we only had nationals just due to COVID and everything. But we'll go to a climbing competition, and it's usually 2 days, a qualifier day and then a finals day. Qualifiers day in the US, you get 3 routes. You get to climb them as many times as you want for 3 hours. And then whoever has the highest score, which is they take into account how high you go and then how many attempts it took you to get there.
What's the highest you've ever gone?
On a route outside, like 180 feet.
Damn.
Probably.
How long did it take you?
10 minutes.
Damn.
Something like that. I don't rest. That's the problem.
That's the problem? I mean, it seems like that might be the secret sauce. Let me ask you this. Who's the Michael Jordan of paraclimbing? Like, who's that person?
Ronnie Dixon.
Ronnie Dixon. And what makes Ronnie Dixon?
Ronnie Dixon is out of Chattanooga. He's an above-the-knee amputee. So he's in a different category than I am. But, like, definitely he's been one of my mentors and one of the guys I look up to in the paraclimbing community. He was the first above-the-knee amputee to do V10, which is...
Yeah, what's that?
Like, it's the start of the professional grade boulders. So, like, boulders are graded from V0 to V17 now.
Okay, so, like, the free climbing stuff I see, he's doing that. He was the first one to do something like that. And 10's the what? The most difficult?
16's the most difficult, 16. But V10's the start of, like, you're at the professional grade, elite grade.
And he's achieved
and
it.
He's achieved that. He's a boulderer. Now he's into rope climbing. But, like, everything, free climbing is everything you do underneath your own power. You can have a rope. You can have a pad. Free soloing is, like, the stuff that, like, Alex Honnold does. No rope, no anything.
I've watched some of that shit. It's insane.
Yeah, he's a good climber. But Ronnie by far is the best paraclimber in my opinion, and someone that has achieved legendary status. I think, and it's definitely someone I look up to and someone I want to actually beat. One of these days.
Are you graded? Do you have a level, or you say he's a V10? Are you a 5, a 6, a 3? You know, do you have a rating?
I go V7, V8.
Oh wow, so you're close then.
I'm pretty close.
What will it take for you to hit that V10?
The right one.
Really? Is that what it? I mean,
it's finding the right one and time.
Okay.
Taking the time to.
What sort of board looks over that and governs that? Like, who officially makes you a V10?
The local establishers. This is all outside. Like, this isn't competition wise. It's just you just go outside and try as many clients you want outside.
Is that your goal, to be a pro?
Yeah, that's my goal. I'm pretty close.
Yeah.
Then, like, for international competitions, it's who can get the highest on these set routes that they set before you.
Okay.
I've done 3 world championships now, one of which was last week.
Last week?
Well, 2 weeks ago.
How'd you do?
I got second. It's my second time getting second internationally.
Out of how many people?
In my category, because they differentiate categories based on your disability and what level your disability is. My category is RP2, and it was about 10 people.
Wow, dude!
In our category.
For you, man. And this is international.
International. So I was going against people from Germany, Slovenia, Israel, England. Like, there was a bunch of countries there, and it's always a good time. I got silver once before in 2019 in Briançon, France.
Wow, dude, so, that's good.
the consistency is really, really nice. That was one of the big things. And then like how I climbed the finals route from 2019 to 2021 was completely different. Like my style's completely changed and it's more refined, but it's still my style. My style is very like powerful, overhanging, like you're borderline upside down while you're climbing.
Damn.
And like I was pulling through these sequences like it was nothing. I fell going to the last hole. That's what happened.
All right. So I wrote that down. So tell me, give me some of the hardest falls you've had.
Hardest falls. I've taken a 22-foot digger off the top.
That's 2 stories, dude. That's a bad
Yeah.
one, bro.
Yeah, that one was. Oh, I thought I was dying.
Do you wear a helmet?
For bouldering, no.
And this was a fall from bouldering?
Yeah. So bouldering, no rope. You just have pads on the ground that kind of stop your fall.
You really thought you were dying?
I thought I was going to die.
Why? What were you experiencing?
Well, just the fall. I fell and I was fine. Like I hit the ground and I literally laid there. I was like checking my body.
Oh, I see.
Checking everything.
You mean as you were falling, you thought, I'm fucking dead. Yeah.
Yeah. As I'm falling, I'm like, I'm dead. And landed perfectly on the pads. I had a good spot. That took enough energy away. And I got lucky. And didn't do that boulder problem ever again. Just walked away from it because it was that one was the scariest one I've ever done. I've taken lead climbing on ropes. I've taken a 20-foot whipper, so like fell 20 feet and crashed into the wall.
Ooh, like swung into it?
Yeah.
Oh,
like I'm up the cliff and my belayer didn't know I fell, and I just kept going and going and going.
And you're probably flying, hit that thing.
Yeah, I hit it pretty hard, but it wasn't that bad. I made sure I put my right leg out to brace the fall, and nothing was broken. Just kind of shook it off, kept climbing.
What about most embarrassing moment?
Oh, there's a lot of them.
Pick one.
I've definitely let out some gas in the middle of a climb. Just because the tension's so much.
Yeah, I bet you can't help it. You're hanging upside down and shit.
Yeah, and you're like tightening your core the whole time.
How close is the next person to you?
It was a little right in their face, unfortunately. They were spotting me a little too close, and it was really embarrassing. I was like, I'm so sorry.
That's fucking great. All right, I have some questions I want to ask you. You said you had some coaches and shit that were really influential. What's some of the you said he gave you some sports psychology, like you're 0 for 0, which is great. What about some things that really resonated with you in life?
With that coach, not so much. My college coach wasn't really big on the life advice.
Who was?
My high school coach, Jerry. Who started our wheelchair basketball program at Kennedy Krieger. He was very influential. He always told me to continue to read. That was a big one. Like every trip we went on, he would go through a book. I watched that guy full on like Democrat. He picked up George Bush's Decision Points when it came out, read it in a plane ride. Like that's how quick of a reader he was. Like we were going to Denver, and from BWI to Denver, he read a pretty thick sized book, and was just done and left it on the plane. And we're like, were you done? Or did you just not like it? And he's like, no, I actually finished it. And I was like, what?
Man.
He's always been a pretty big influence, and him and his wife definitely taught and still teach to this day disabled kids how to kind of be confident in themselves. That way they can assimilate into society a little bit better. They actually push people. And that was the biggest thing. They pushed us academically. They pushed us physically. Like they wanted us to succeed well overall and not just be like a basketball player or track athlete.
It's a
like
well-rounded person.
Yeah, they definitely pushed us to be a well-rounded person. They pushed us to experience the local cultures wherever we would go. So like we would try like a local thing at every place we would go. So like Texas, we would get like an authentic Texas steak, or when we were in the Rocky Mountains, we'd try Rocky Mountain oysters.
Man. Okay.
So, and to this day, I try and taste any local cuisine that I go to, except for maybe West Virginia.
Yeah. You scrapple? You have that scrapple?
I've had scrapple.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've had scrapple, but I've had scrapple.
Let me ask you this about a wheelchair advice. What's something that's really important to know if you're going to spend time in a wheelchair?
Figure out your push mechanics early.
What's that exactly? Just like sort of your gait, so to speak?
Yeah, basically your gait. Make sure you know how to push your chair and how to get the right amount of efficiency out of it, depending on your body type, and where your paralysis is, if you do have paralysis. And then make sure you take care of your shoulders doing antagonistic work always, because if you're going to spend time in a chair, like those are like your legs now, and
I guess
you kind of have
shoulders, huh?
Yeah, you got to take care of them, and your shoulders aren't meant to do that much repetitive movement like that. So like definitely take care of your shoulders.
How? What's a good way to take care of your shoulders?
Shoulder press, shoulder shrugs,
flies,
delt raises. I've been reading a few articles recently. They say Y's, I's, and T's aren't exactly the best for pushing around in a wheelchair or climbing. So doing a little bit more research on that one, because typically PTs tell you to do this, but like with recent research, it's looking like that's actually causing more shoulder instability, but it's not clear.
Okay.
And be confident with yourself. That's the biggest thing. Like there are these social norms and social expectations that people put on people with wheelchairs or already have. Just screw it. Like, honestly, like don't pay attention to that. Don't get wrapped up in too many like victim stuff. Just
what was the hardest thing for you about learning how to operate and use a wheelchair? And at what point did you also get to where you fucking just were fluid in it?
High school, I was pretty fluid in it. College is when like I considered myself a master in my chair. It's not so much like the mechanics. It's more along the lines of like the societal stuff that comes with disability. Like my parents taught me how to kind of get around some things, and if people aren't going to help me do it myself, and learn how to do it yourself, because like that's going to be part of the easiest way. As long as you're using a manual wheelchair, electric wheelchair users definitely need some independence with who they have to help them, but there are going to be people that do need help. I'm not going to lie about that, because there's the reality of some people's disabilities. And I don't shy away from the reality. There's ways to be independent, but also still receive help.
Do you live on your own?
I'm with my family right now.
Hell, most
COVID.
people are anyway. Fucking this shit. A lot of people did.
Yeah. I was in a relationship living with somebody, and about like 3 weeks into COVID, we ended up breaking up. So, and then I moved back home with my family.
Do you have siblings?
I have a sister. And a half brother.
Okay.
So my sister was living at home at the time too. She recently moved out. I just kind of, right now I'm still there.
So what's next for you?
This weekend I got a outdoor bouldering competition in Boone, North Carolina. I'm going to go out there, climb 10 really hard boulders and see how I do.
Go for you, dude. Ben, thank you for real for coming on here and sharing your stories and being so open and honest and educating me too. I learned a lot on this episode. And if you or anyone out there you know has that story that has to be heard, please submit it to honeydewpodcast@gmail.com. You do not need to be a member of the Patreon, and it also doesn't need to be you, okay? So submit it, and hopefully we get to do a story together. Check out me on tour. If I'm in your city and you're there, come on out and see me on the Night Pants Nation tour. Tickets at RyanSickler.com, and we'll talk to y'all next week.